Dobro Pajalavat, hello everybody, and welcome back to Revival Tournament, brought to you by the Revival Divisions League. That is us. We're entering week 3, meaning we will be spectating our first lower bracket matchups this week, and if you don't know what lower bracket entails, I will enlighten you very soon. First of all, my name is Mathis, I'm your host for tonight, and this is typically where I cover the weather and talk about the temperature. But it's kind of been the same. I heard some people reporting thunderstorms today, but I didn't get any of that, unfortunately. The trailer you saw at the beginning was made by the lovely Torsolman, one of our dedicated designers. In case you missed it, or if you want to rewatch it, which I don't blame you for at all, it is uploaded to our YouTube channel, and I cannot tolerate anyone missing out on this work of art, so type !YouTube in the chat. You will be redirected directly to our YouTube channel. Not only will you find the trailer there, but also other videos, including VODs of every livestream. We multi-stream to Twitch and YouTube simultaneously, so all the more reason to head over to our channel and subscribe to not miss out in case Twitch is not your cup of tea. I'm personally not the greatest fan of navigating through Twitch VODs myself. YouTube just makes everything so much easier, so again, !YouTube in the chat to find all VODs there. And if you're watching on Twitch, which I presume most of you are regardless, might as well follow us in case you don't already. It's free, and you can always change your mind later. And on that note, thank you to CausticWit75 for subscribing last stream. I'm super grateful for your support, and it's making all of this possible, so thank you very much. While you're at it, don't forget about our Discord channel. Use !Discord to join the community in case you want to reach out or need to read up on the rule set. Everything you may ever need can be found on our Discord server. And this is the point where I talk about the bracket. In case you're not satisfied with what we have on the screen, type !challenge in chat to be redirected to our bracket on challenge. But let's get into it. Revival Tournament is a double elimination tournament, meaning every team starts in the higher bracket, and upon losing, they descend to the lower bracket. This means all the teams you will be watching this week have either lost in the first or second round of the higher bracket. What did the arrows indicate on the screen? We've invited 12 teams to the tournament, and you can't start a bracket with 12 teams in round 1. This enabled 4 teams to skip round 1 and start in round 2, as indicated by the arrows again. These teams include X9, Petroleum, Serene, and Onyx. The bracket was randomly generated, in other words, any team could have received this great privilege. The teams remaining in the higher bracket are X9, Mercy, Elysium, and Sinners. And this is the point at which I finally realize I'm not the cast-off tonight. You have seen the stream title, you've seen the announcement. Today we are witnessing none other than Invictus facing Onyx in a round 1 lower bracket. And I'm sure Volkuz and Juls have plenty to talk about, especially on how alien it is to see Invictus in a lower bracket round 1. Last time it was ladies first, so this time I'll pass the torch to our good Sir Volkuz. How's it going this fine evening?
Thank you very much for the warm welcome, Mathis, and hello everybody watching at home. We are here today with, as you said, the first ever match of our lower bracket. Interesting, the teams that we are seeing here today in the lower bracket. Invictus, by a lot of people's account, the best team in the world, or even, no matter who you ask, always in the top 4 contenders. Interesting to have them see they lost to Umbrella, another top 4 contender team for sure. So if they were going to lose to anybody, it would have been somebody like that. Therefore, they're finding themselves in our midst here in the lower bracket on the loser side, with a chance to then move forward in this bracket as far as they can for either team and make it to our grand finals at the very end. So, enough said about that. Jules, how are we feeling today going into the games?
Yeah, very interesting. Like you said, this weekend is all lower bracket, so even more interesting that we are seeing Invictus today. Invictus, a very high tier team. They lost to Umbrella last week. I believe the sets were Wesker, Freddy, and Spirit. Those are some interesting games. Definitely go back and check if you haven't already. But Wesker set went to Umbrella, Freddy went to Invictus, and Spirit went back to Umbrella. Very close matches. Survivors were doing excellently. I remember casting that myself. I believe with Cyber. And then Onyx, on the other hand, lost to Sinners in the previous bracket. I believe those sets were Nurse, Blade, and Unknown. Sinners, a very strong team. South American, there's quite a bit of ping there. We are EU to SA in that particular matchup, but this matchup today is going to be EU to EU, I believe. And the sets today, It's going to be Ormond, Lake Mine, Ghoul, Hawkins, Shape, and Wreckers unknown. So Hawkins is going to be Onyx's pick, Ormond, Lake Mine, Ghoul is Invictus's, and then the tiebreaker as the unknown. So 3 very interesting sets. We've been seeing a lot of Ghoul, but I haven't cast Shape on this particular tournament quite yet, so that should be kind of interesting, Volkuz.
Interesting is one way of putting the Myers set. You know, listen. I am here. I'm in a very unique situation mentally, right? Because we have my favorite setting comp, which is Ghoul Ormond Lake Mine, but then we have arguably my least favorite setting comp, which is Hawkins Lateral Laboratory Shape. But one thing I will say is, if there's ever a way for me and you and everybody at home who might not be a big fan of Michael Myers to enjoy such a set, it is when it is at the hands of these players. Because let me tell you, I've seen Invictus. I haven't actually seen Onyx play this set. I have seen Invictus play this set, and Pedro does a fantastic job on the killer side. Again, the indoor coordination is a very, very big aspect of a set like this, especially because it's exactly an indoor, potentially stealth killer. And seeing now Onyx picking something like that into Invictus means that it must be quite a comfort pick for them. They must have an ace up their sleeve. They know something we don't, and I am still excited to find out about that. But before we even get there, we have Ormond Lake Mine Ghoul. The thing is with Ormond Lake Mine Ghoul, it is arguably in Invictus's top 3 sets, simply as because Nightlight is arguably the best Ghoul in comp. That is in his top 3 killers, also one of his favorite killers. He says it all the time. He's very, very strong on it mechanically. Ormond Lake Mine is a map that he has practiced a lot. He has shown us incredible mechanics and some lineups for slingshots that I have stolen myself and many other Ghoul players have stolen right off of him to improve our very own gameplay. So every time we see Nightlight on Ghoul, I feel like I'm in for a very specific treat. Now again, Onyx also have Raza. Raza is also a beast on the Ghoul. I have seen this before. I saw them play. I've casted them play Ghoul before, and I was again very impressed with what I saw. However, my gut feeling is that Invictus is more than ready, more than prepared for the Ghoul set, and are going to be looking to take it somewhat comfortably. Never do I ever count anybody out, but this is a very, very powerful pick for Invictus. So, if there's going to be any way for Onyx to really, really put up a fight, it's going to start here on their Survivor side. And Jules, how would you approach a set going into one, arguably the best player for the killer that you're up against?
It's gonna be hard. It's gonna be hard for sure. There's a lot allowed though on the Survivor end. Ormond Lake Mine Ghoul, I think we discussed this actually a little bit last time we cast the Ghoul set together last time. We talked about how Ormond is quite a lot of filler palettes, quite a lot of unsafe palettes. You really have to make it to those tiles. But Ghoul being a killer that can kind of cut you off from them, very hard to play around sometimes in Nightlight. Like you said, one of the best Ghouls in the world. And yes, that is the world. He is on one of the best teams in the world as well, and such a good player. They have the set picked for a reason. But with everything that's allowed, we have Sprint Burst, Plot Twist, Resurgence, Dead Hard. I believe Made for This was banned since last week. We saw that a little bit come into play in the previous set that we cast together. Definitely made quite a difference, I think, in the result. And we aren't going to be seeing that today. So I wonder if that's going to play a little bit of a part. Metal of Man allowed, Blast Mine allowed, pretty much full exhaustion as well. So a lot of things that the survivors have in their favor, helping them get from tile to tile, helping them get from pallet to pallet, using that main building with Balanced Landing maybe, or you're sitting on the main building with Deja Vu and Blast Mine perhaps, can get quite a bit of progress and be pretty safe up there, even injured against the Ghoul, even against a very experienced Ghoul like Nightlight. So yeah, just so many pallets. Nightlight has to work around them and cut them off from the tiles. And once those resources are gone, those dead zones become very, very dangerous. Often gen spreads will spawn top side, they'll spawn bottom side, and there's sometimes are gens in the middle of the map that are so low too. You have to watch out for that. Lots of debris can pile up on either side of the solo gens, and working those gens and not getting the generator pop for it, maybe a down comes through nearby, that can be super detrimental to the survivor team. So you have to really manage your macro well in terms of the generators, especially after the Ghoul has created those dead zones. So yeah, I'm excited to see what the survivors cook up here, and I'm always excited as usual to see what Nightlight has in store for us on this killer. In my opinion, one of the harder killers in the game, at least a higher skill ceiling. And like you said, just those cutoffs that you can learn, and you can learn from Nightlight himself. He seems to be coming up with new ones every time I watch him play. So hopefully we'll see that again today.
No, that is for sure the case. Very well put. And as you said, yeah, the map, when you have that bottom mid and that top mid gen spawning, if you can have them both spawn in at the same time, you can end up with a slight 4-gen towards the bottom side by where the shack is. And it becomes a macro nightmare to try to manage that. You can get a couple easy gens for free at the start of the game, or at least for your tunnel out, but then you're in a very, very difficult situation. The Ghoul being a killer that can exert huge amounts of map pressure when in enrage mode via, even when not in enrage mode, but mostly in enrage mode via access to the slingshot tech, which a lot of you at home might have seen in pubs or might have seen in other comp games, where it's simply where the Ghoul can stack their first and second leap to gain a lot of momentum, pretty much traversing the map completely. It's actually possible if you have certain lineups and if you get a lucky hill or two or the ramp in front of main, that you can actually make it literally all the way from one side to the other. Please, if you're a Ghoul player and you're looking to scream Ghoul, learn some of those. Make sure you are ready for that to come up. Make sure you're looking out for it. Because you said, Nightlight, one of the best Ghouls in the world. And as I call myself the #1 Ghoul enjoyer. I love Ghoul. This is my favorite killer to watch, my favorite killer to see play, my favorite killer to play myself in a competitive setting. And that is simply because of it's a killer that it really rewards you for having good mechanics and good macro in a way that some other killers don't. It's kind of similar to Blight in a way, where if you have good macro on Blight, you can use the mobility and the pressure to get around the map and make the best use of that macro skill that you already have. If you think you know where survivors are going to be, if you know when the reset is going to be, if you know where a rotation might come from, then you can use the mobility to reward yourself with that. And that's kind of the same thing the Ghoul does. If you have a play in your mind that you think the survivors could be making, then you can use the killer's abilities properly mechanically to go and interrupt said play and usually get great value out of it. And of course, being mostly a killer that requires M1s to get downs, that forces killer players to get creative, to figure out these techs, to figure out ways to make them applicable that don't take too long, that while still keeping zoning in mind, while keeping everything like this put together. So very exciting times ahead of us as we are now getting ready to load in, just in the very last steps of a loading screen. Let's hope Nightlight is nice and warmed up and our survivor side of Team Onyx are ready to deliver the promises that they can keep up with the Nightlight Ghoul. We have Scroily, Eren, Buey, and Hendrix on the survivor side. Nightlight coming in with a very classic pop eruption force pen, and some of you might wonder why we have no pain resonance here, simply because it is not allowed to stack pain res pop eruption, so our killers have to choose between pop eruption or pain res. Simply pain res and eruption are also, I believe, not allowed together. But as I say that, we immediately find our very first bite onto Eren, who is opting to take the chase very back into their spawn. Classic. We have the live in our hand, but this is also the For the People survivor. And when you have no deli or anything of the sort, getting For the People to be first chase can be very huge. However, Nightlight, of course, is not aware of that, does not know what perks the survivor has, so will instead use the time of the Corrupt to spread as much pressure as he can, get as many survivors as possible injured, and stop these early game rotations. Very standard play for the Ghoul in the early game, Juls.
Yeah, very interesting. We saw 3 survivors rotating up the left side of the map, and that caused a little bit of a traffic jam there. And oh my goodness, what a cutoff!
Oh my!
Oh man, okay, so getting him around the side of that shack and just accidentally got off in the window. And that will be the first down. We don't even have much gen progress. I think this might be their highest prog gens. And look, it's only like, I don't know, like 40% I want to say, but we have gotten everyone healed up. Yeah, I mean, the survivors rotating super slow there, trying to get up the map without getting too many tags, but seem to come through anyways. Nightlight with that excellent game sense. We get another tag on Buey. I'm just gonna spread infection, spread tags across the survivors here, getting that pop on the generator, and I just wonder now, well, because I don't think they have any gen progress at all, and a first hook to show for it too. So Nightlight just in an excellent spot, tried to go for a cut up there at the shack, but it did not quite work, but we are keeping Buey distracted, while Felix here, Hendrix, gets the pull, and that will be the forced penance coming through. And there's 2 survivors at the shack now, Volkuz.
Yeah, definitely an interesting situation to be in. I don't really understand why Team Onyx made a play that I thought was very smart, but then they didn't really use it. They double stacked the heal to heal Eren. Oh no, I don't think Buey makes this. Oh no, Buey gonna be going down. So much pressure for Nightlight already, but they double healed Eren, the FTP survivor, to use the FTP. However, I think they must have realized that there's simply too much going on in the mid-map, and Nightlight would be able to get a tag or something of the sort before any FTP could be done. He's far too close to the hook, so unfortunately that was even more time wasted in the early game. No pain risk from Nightlight to worry about, and I think our survivors haven't quite realized that there is no pain risk. And look at that, slingshotting it away right on top of the main building. So little time to react. Nightlight now has all the time, however, to put Pop Eruption on this. This is a great hook position. Mid-map hook on this map is absolutely ridiculous. Nightlight will be more than happy to take the bite or this gold pallet off of Eren. That's going to be a very generous bite coming out. And Eren now being found again. Absolutely under no circumstances can we keep the chase over here. We cannot have a slug survivor under a hooked one, especially not at 5 gens. That is going to be very, very problematic. Nightlight again using great mobility, great macro there to know exactly where the rotation is going to come from. We have somebody working that left side gen of main building. Well, actually, all of our survivors are here. Maybe they were trying to organize a reset with the healthy Scroily, but now Nightlight knows that nobody's in position to go for the pull just yet, so has a bit of time to play around while also looking for the rotation from here. The survivor is still on the gen, so Nightlight thinks that they must be trading last second, so that is kind of their only play. Now, Hendrix back on that generator, not trying. It looks like we might even let Buey go second stage in order to get some generator progress and make up for our lackluster early game. However, Nightlight is just really not affording them that opportunity. They want to have at least 1 or 2 gens popping, not even ready to pop, fully popping for a situation like this, but that's just not enough. There's just too much pressure from Nightlight. Hendrix going to be going down, and Nightlight now free to interrupt the pull that at this point must happen. The survivors don't have a choice. They need to pull Buey off, or they would need to leave him completely to die. But now we have 2 slugs. Death Hook Buey. Where is Scroily is the name of the game. If he's going for the pick and gets found now, that is detrimental. But Nightlight tried to make the hard read, was not able to pay off. So maybe that slight mistake there from Nightlight, or the gamble loss more than mistake, is gonna give Team Onyx a bit of a breath of fresh air to try to recollect their situation. But I'm not sure if it's gonna be enough, Jules. Nightlight is keeping the pressure up.
Still in just such an excellent spot, though. We have a hook on the highest progress generator. Every single survivor is injured. I think that was a clean break coming through, or perhaps it was the Force Penance again. And we do have a broken survivor, so can't really heal up here. I believe Scroily is our inner healing survivor. We saw their aura come out of a locker earlier, and they do have the map, so are able to heal themselves up. But plot twist, activating Eruption on that generator as well. Funny little interaction with the perks there, and getting a great stun. Nightlight just sending it through the pallet, taking another gamble. And interesting that we aren't choosing to tunnel at all here. We're trying to go for freshes, but it really seems to be working out for him quite well. We're getting so much of the gen progress gone, and that generator is not going to come through. Kind of predicted, and that was the vault that's getting him down. So Scroily on the floor. Nightlight choosing to slug once again, tagging our Death Hook survivor here. That's Buey. On the run at 5 gens, but Nightlight doesn't even look like he wants to commit to it here. Just gonna pick up Scroily, very, very comfortable in this hook and not tunneling at all. And that will be, I believe, the first gen popping by Hendrix. That Deja Vu and Resilience speed coming in clutch there to help us get that gen popped. And I wonder, we are going to be making this pallet, and Nightlight swinging through it once again, trying to get a bit of a Pokos on several of these pallets, but they are not coming through. And so many of these survivors have so much to do now. We're going down over the pallet. 2 survivors are out of the trial for a second, with one being on the hook and one on the floor, and now Buey, our tunnel out, is in chase. And
no way!
For Nightlight. Buey's dead. No way.
Wow, and Nightlight can even try to slingshot back if he doesn't want to pick up Buey, but I'm assuming now that he sees the hook coming out, he's not going to choose to do that. Yeah, in fact, going to go pick up Buey, but that was insane. Nightlight is... He found the reset, he's found every single rotation so far. He's just picking apart Team Onyx with zero hesitation in his gameplay. It's superb to see. And Nightlight is not even... He is tunneling, he's just passive tunneling. He's taking every other opportunity he can for pressure, knowing that the tunnel out needs to rotate, knowing that the survivors need to reset, knowing that he's giving them side quests to do while they need to be doing a genic, just not really giving them the opportunity to put any pressure of themselves into the map. And look at it, it's worked out beautifully, because all he needs to do is find a reset. Normally this is a very high risk strategy, because it involves you needing to then be able to relocate your tunnel or force them out of their hiding spot or maybe the safe gen. But when you can put this much pressure onto the map, when no chase is last, when every single leap is connecting with the survivor, there's just nothing you can do. Eren trying to slow vault out of the locker to avoid getting slugged. Nightlight is playing for this 4k4. All he needs is one more rotation found. This might be it. Hendrix only has an S-Tile to play with right now. Needs to win an exuberant amount of 50s. Needs to play this unsafe tile very, very well to be able to know. However, but self-interrupting the leap might be enough. It's not quite. Hendrix gets the stun. Does he have a double pallet here to break with? Is it gonna be enough? No, she doesn't. No filler pallet spawned here, so that's gonna be a down. Never mind, we're forcing the lock, but we're simply gonna pick it out as the pick onto Eren comes. So another survivor death hook, why not? Nightlight might even choose to drop, but I find it more likely that he's not going to do so. Yeah, he's gonna take his hook, and let's see here. Scroily trying to get out of harm's way, because if he gets found here, that is pretty much game over. We have Eren on the only active gen, which is Shaq. 4k3 looking like a very, very likely result here, Jules.
Yeah, no kidding. I mean, so much pressure, like we said, but also none of the survivors have had any chance to heal up. We did see the confirmation that there is inner healing on Scroily, but hasn't used that chance to heal himself up in the locker anywhere. So injured with Dead Hard available. And now this hook in the dead center of the map. Nightlight, I think he has almost LOS on every generator on the map at this point. There's 2 gens super close to him. The Shaq gen, I think, the only one that we might be a little bit worried about popping, but yeah, that main gen popped. I think another gen topside has also popped, so this gen spread is super, super tough for the survivors. Hendrix going to be using that balanced landing to get further into the main building, and we are in chase with our second death hook survivor. That might be a Dead Hard coming through. Yes, it is an excellent Dead Hard by our Cheryl, by Scroily, and now kind of worried about the drop down mind game here. I think it's
oh my god!
Through, and we tried a different drop down, and it actually worked, and Scroily is out of the trial focus.
That is the second time I've seen Nightlight do that. People learn. No, we need to look at both sides of the drop down. He could go from the top. There's a little bit of a broken railing, broken handrail, and or maybe even the vault that you can use to get down there. However, the vault makes sound. The broken handrail does not. We're going to try to commit this gen, try to get it down to a 4k2. Is it going to be enough? We have no eruption on this. Is it enough? No! By the skin of their teeth. Team Onyx is not able to squeeze out the 4k2. Gonna have to settle for the 4k3 result. Wow. What a clinic. What a high octane, next to zero mistakes made game by Nightlight. And I can't help but think back to the moment where he gambled trying to fight the pickup onto Hendrix on the edge map. If that had been the case, then we would have even been looking at a guaranteed 4k4. But yeah, every single rotation caught out, resets found, chases immediately fast, just outplaying everything on this map. I cannot under-explain the amount of experience, the amount of hours that Nightlight has put into this exact set, into this killer on this map. Makes perfect sense why Invictus would be picking this as their first pick whenever they can. This has to be maybe even their best set, if not top 3. But wow, like, I am so seriously impressed. I was expecting something similar, I won't lie. I've seen Nightlight play this before. I know what he's capable of on this killer, but 4k3 without even an active tunnel, while literally just piecemealing apart every play Team Onyx makes is just such a treat to watch, just so unbelievably incredible. And we see here on the replay we have our early game tags coming out here, and just yeah, it just feels hopeless when you're up against Nightlight in chase on the Ghoul. It just feels like there's really not much you can do at all. You can try to win 50s, you can try to make it happen, and Shaq is definitely not a safe space against the Ghoul. But yeah, wow, just look at this. Look at this. Needed a bit of luck there on the timing to be able to get the grab through the vault and not get the swing bait into nothing. But yeah, just the mechanic. No, I cannot point out a single mechanical error in this game. Just absolutely brilliant from Nightlight.
And he did it all without paying reds too. I think at the beginning of the game, we saw the importance of splitting up our rotations there. There were 3 survivors in that bottom left corner of the map. They probably all spawned near the shack or inside of the shack, and all chose to rotate up the left side of the map. One survivor probably rotated to the right, but I mean, Nightlight able to find out 2 different survivors nearby, and I mean, Cheryl was the second tag, Sable was the first, and they both just got injured super fast. And Cheryl with the inner healing there. Managed to heal up later in the trial. Was not the tunnel out of choice. I think our Claudette was death pretty early on in the trial. Just like, man, it's just a masterclass, and that is also why they were rotating super slow. I think just they didn't want to give away too many free tags. They didn't want to give away too much information to Nightlight, but he'd already seen them. It was too late. Just had all that information regardless, so the survivors couldn't really do much about it once they'd already made that decision. Just very, very excellently played. And yeah, I mean, we're seeing now kind of there's a hook trade in this gen spread here. I don't often see such a centralized gen spread on Ormond Lake Mine, and they're all out in the open too. The main building gen, I believe, was one of the first to pop. And then I think there was another generator that popped over here, the one that Felix was working on. And just super tough for the survivors to pop any of those mid-map gens. We see this one right here, very, very centralized. Over by the tubes, there's a generator. Like that is, I'm pretty sure it's a guaranteed spawn. Very difficult to pop as it is in the open and kind of a dead zone as well, unless you are the Sprimper survivor. Yeah, just so much pressure by Nightlight, and so well played to just hold his generators mid-map. Essentially could have been a 4K too, but that little bit of pressure at the end of the game trying to slug those two survivors, and I wonder how close that gen was to popping, to be honest.
Yeah, for sure. And it must have been pretty close. Must have been a good 98%, maybe literally a couple more seconds off of popping. But at the risk of repeating myself, is what I want to stress that I said earlier about Ghoul and why this set is so satisfying to me. Nightlight has the mechanical ability to use the killer to play off of every macro read he makes. We saw it here. It was a perfect example. Resets being found, rotations being found. It was just very, very easy for him to use the killer to make the plays. Just look at that velocity slide. That was so clean. Oh, my Ghoul nerds know what I'm talking about. But yeah, like every single chase play he makes, every single, macro play he makes can be supported by his mechanical skill, and that is why we love the Ghoul. But yeah, wow. I mean, what else can I even say? I mean, I don't want to, at the risk of overglazing Nightlight, I'm going to find it difficult to see how our survivor team here is going to try to play for a 4K4 win condition. Very, very unlikely. So I believe at absolute best, we need to play for a 4K3, and that is still going to be a very, very, very big task ahead. We're getting about ready to load in here, and we are in. We have Raza on the Ghoul as expected. Ruin Undying, Pain Res, and Batteries. Okay, I like this build. Ruin Undying will do a lot in terms of putting on the early game pressure and will make up for the no corrupt. So long as we can get in the enraged mode quickly, we should be able to have the pressure to push survivors off of gens and get some value. Pain Res, as we said, there is no, in this balancing, Pain Res plus Eruption is not allowed, so you have to choose either of the two. Raza going for the Pain Res, and then the Batteries for that extra speed. If they ever pop the main gen, that's going to be a very, very big radius in which Raza can simply walk in, and get a lot of speed going. I'm afraid he might have been slightly jiggered over here by Kexo, who is in fact already on the other side. Now we're finding Spitz on this God Filler here. We're going to be able to get our very first down. Spitz smartly not using the pallet, because it's not very avoidable. Giving a gold pallet for a Ghoul bite is usually you need to guarantee that you're not going to get the bite, and however Spitz choosing against that, going to be taking that very first bite. Now Kexo already found a Hex Totem, so that's going to be Undying, getting out of the way immediately, and we see them on the gen, trusting that Spitz can last at least slightly. However, we do run into an active generator, but it doesn't even seem like Raza followed from upstairs, wants to indeed come up the ramp. However, now giving Spitz with his German ping, the excise pallet. This is technically a gold pallet on same ping. You can check spot this, and if you have that amount, that low of ping and that good reaction time as Spitz does, there is really not much the killer can do. So yep, you definitely break that. Keep trying to get this down. We have our first gen already ready to pop, and getting the stun there also means we can make the downstairs gold pallet more likely than not. If no, we have this one to fall back on. Raza trying to make a play happen here. Getting desperate, we need to be getting close to that 4K. We don't even have it down yet, Juls. This is so rough for the killer.
Yeah, and Pedro coming in to take a hit. We have 5 moves ahead, back off of cooldown. I think we are maybe switching targets here. No, we're staying on Spitz, actually. He's playing this back window with Resilience in hand. Probably can make this vault. Going to be heading back towards this pallet in main. Isn't going to vault it quite yet. I think he makes it around and is pretty confident in his Resilience there. I agree with him. He does definitely make that pallet. Going to be sending it down the map to this double filler. Instantly dropping that first filler to make it a little bit safer for him, and that is an excellent choice, I think. Playing 50s with Resilience, and he will be making it to this jungle gym. Just so many resources, and I mean, you can't really chew through them all before 3 gens pop, right? It's going to be a little bit difficult. We're already at the Tycon as well. Volkuz just chewing through pallets over and over and over again, and Ghoul, though he's a very strong killer, just very, very difficult for that to happen. But Spitz finally goes down over the pallet. Finally ran out of resources there. Is going to be getting grabbed off of the pallet there, but not before 2 gens pop, 2 totems popped as well, and this isn't even container as Volkuz. It's just not looking great for Raza. We are going to be able to make it over to this generator. We can kick it, but we don't have any kicking perks to help us there. We only had our totems. And yeah, this is going to be a tag coming through, an M1 tag. This gen, we can't really tunnel either. It's kind of a lose-lose here, right? If we tunnel, we're going to be losing that win con generator. So what does Raza even do here? I honestly don't know.
There kind of is no winning play in the situation for Raza. That first chase simply had to be shorter. And Spitz, leave some chase time for the rest of us, buddy. Come on, you're making the rest of us look bad. One of the best 1v4 chases in the world. Always a joy to watch Spitz and playing alongside him. Great guy, love him. He shows us every single time he's here why he was in the conversation for best survivor in the world 2025, why he's going to be in the conversation for best survivor 2026. And Pedro here, again, another great survivor, but only has the 1 filler palette to play. Have to play the 50s, and eventually you do have to lose one. But we only have 2 hook stages now for what is going to be our tie condition currently in the works. Raza, if I'm Raza, I don't even know what I do. I honestly do not even know how to approach winning this game. We have all the fastballs available to us. Even if he finds Kexo here, who is doing a great job stealthing it out, we can see Raza is looking simply because he knows that he needs some sort of snowball here. Unable to find the savior. It's gonna definitely hurt him as he put in all the time that he could have used to check main. Blast mine! Gonna be wasting a lot of his time. Main might actually even pop for this. Raza needs to be aware and needs to go there immediately to try to check on it. Tries a slingshot, is able to get it. Nightlight being found here. Ghoul player versus the Ghoul has that balance landing to make maximum distance away. Ideally wants to leave this main building so another one of Team Invictus survivors can come swoop in and pop it to make sure that we get into that win condition. But if Nightlight gives the call that he is not able to do so, all that our survivors can do is work another generator, and that is exactly what has happened. 1-0 to Invictus, excuse me, not getting ahead of myself. 1-0 to Invictus with that gen now being popped. Just way too much pressure from Nightlight for this win condition, and way too much I don't want to say way too much good chase, that doesn't really make grammatical sense, but way too good of a chase from Spitz in the beginning to just deny all that early game pressure that you desperately need. Not because only you need to get it down and a hook immediately, you also need to try to keep your totems alive, because that is the cornerstone of your build. You have nothing else left. We were almost popped the last generator and we were only able to get 3 freshes for it. Of course, after that Spitz chase, we were not in position to tunnel whatsoever. It was just never going to work out for Raza. So he kind of just has to take what he's given. But knowing Raza, I don't believe he will let this loss get to his mental. He's going to be with a clear conscience going into game 2, which will be the Myers. However, for now, we're just going to close up. Another double pallet setup here. Pedro on it. Yeah, pretty much impossible to get a hit here just from playing a role like this. Pedro can also make it straight to our Ormond tile here. Ormond tile on the Ormond. What else can we do? Hit onto Nightlight, who's trying to get the gate, is actually already open right next to this, so that is going to be the end of the game. Nightlight gonna be going down for this. We do have 3 survivors here to try and heal them. We have Kexo with a flashlight. Are we gonna be able to make a play? I am not sure, knowing that we're teabagging our teammate, telling him that he deserves to be the one to not be escaping this trial. However, no way. Spitz is here for the skill take. Is that gonna be enough? Even if it is, we have Pedro. Somebody's getting picked. It's absolutely impossible. So yeah, that's gonna be a total of 5 stages, 3 fresh, which is not indicative of Raza's Ghoul skill per se. It's more indicative of what he had to do to play for this win condition. A little bit of just checking out the snow, checking out the snow here on Spitz. Understood after getting chased for that long, but yeah, incredibly well played from Invictus' survivor side, as was from the killer side. Very, very decisive set.
And we are getting the Mori to end off the trial of 5 stage. Very, very impressive result. I mean, and we see the difference in playstyle, like you said. I mean, the start of the game was just so explosive. Like, I feel for Raza, really, just not having pop eruption, having her totems gone so fast, just eating every pallet, so much to have to go through, so many pallets to go through in that one trial, and we saw the result of that, just an excellent first chase coming through. In the previous trial, we saw an excellent first chase by Nightlight on the Survivor, cutting them off at the shack, so much shorter than Spitz's chase, of course, and we just see the how Ghoul is just turned into an M1 killer, really, when there's such a density of pallets like there is at the main building. All of those pallets are guaranteed too, so it's kind of scripted if you're super familiar with it. I didn't really manage to get any cutoffs or anything like that on Spitz. I just could run from one pallet to the next, and yes, all the pallets the Meyer set, I believe. And like you said, I think you have some feelings about the set, Volkuz. I've got some feelings too. It's definitely one of the newer sets that we've had to get used to in the comp scene. And I say newer just because Myers has gotten a bit of a rework. I've heard people say he's dash slop. I've heard people say he's very fun. Lots of different opinions from either direction. Definitely a lot of chewing through pallets in this set, though. Definitely a lot of slower play. When you can't hear the comms, in my opinion, the comms are the most interesting part of the set. Getting to hear how the survivors play around the stealth of the killer and how survivors play around exposed, and some of the hook spots themselves can be pretty rough. Like at the bottom of the map, there's 2 staircases that can be really difficult to unhook from. And also the basement, of course. Basement is also pretty rough sometimes for the survivor, especially if you get an early basement hook. Anti-camp, of course, not allowed. And that is just pretty nice for the Myers, especially if he gets a good gen spread down there. So, I don't know, Volkuz, tell me your opinions of this set, because I know you have them.
Oh, I can't speak. No, I can, and I will. Listen, I mean, it's not my favorite set in the world. I'm gonna be the first one to say it. It's really not my favorite set. Out of all the indoor sets that we play, I find this one to be the least entertaining, but that's just for me personally. I mean, since the Myers rework, I didn't particularly think all Myers was very fun, but he was very much lacking from comp before his rework altogether. So now we have him in comp, and as you said, a lot of pallet munching. It's a weird, how should I say? It's a weird balance between the stealth killer but also the chase killer, because when he's in his stealth mode, all that it takes is one set of eyes, and then he doesn't want to stay in his stealth mode. He's really not using the stealth to the advantage. The killer more uses it as a formality to get into a good position, to get that chase power up and running, up and online, and be able to then make plays based off of the exposed, based off of the pallet breaking capabilities. Arguably one of the best, probably top 3 best pallet breakers in the game with his M2, very easy. Along with killers like Nemesis also, who's very good at breaking pallets. Although it's weird to say that Nemesis is good at something, but yeah, breaking pallets definitely is forte. Myers, kind of a similar situation where you just have to respect the insta-down potential. You have no choice but to drop the pallet. There are a few mechanical plays that can happen in terms of our Myers being able to do maybe a quick flick or two to guarantee it down on a dropped pallet, or a lot of zoning potential also. But the map in and of itself also has a bit of RNG tied to it. The main rooms especially, you can get a god room or you cannot get a god room. So if you spawn in without the god room, then you're already at a pretty significant disadvantage. As you said, some hooks are very, very lethal. The hooks in the staircases are completely body blockable, so you need to send in a 2-man to be able to pull somebody off of that position. So very difficult positions that can be created for the survivors. As we said, pallets are going to run out quickly. Hook positions are difficult to deal with. The map in and of itself is indoors, so you require good communications. So even though it might not be my personal choice for most entertaining set, it is definitely a good set to test out our survivors' abilities, both in chase and macro and communications. So regardless of the lack of fun factor, I believe, is there, we will definitely be seeing an entertainment factor in terms of just watching top teams play around this killer, this map, and all said mechanics, Jules.
Yeah, I would have to agree. And Myers in general, I mean, Hawkins in general, to be honest, can also have some pretty nasty gen spreads. I mentioned it a tiny bit, but that main building gen, a little bit safer. However, you can get stalked from below while you are sitting the main gen, and you can't really do much about it. Kind of just have to take the stalk. And of course, when you're on the upstairs bottom gen, all the way at the top, that is a solo gen. So if you do have a 3 gen in that area, that one of those gens have to be a solo gen. You can't double or anything like that. And that usually is the hardest for the killer to get to as well. So the fact that it's going slower, or it's forced to go slower than if you would stack it, that is a little bit difficult for survivors. And sometimes Myers might get ran for a little bit. That he is definitely a lower tier killer, very much a potential to be juiced, I'd like to say, for quite a bit at the beginning of the game. And if one of these survivors does have a good chase, if our result is low stages, maybe sometimes 5 stages I've seen on Myers, in the next trial, the killer really just has to have a good hook location, has to have one survivor mess up, and that's just instantly, the survivors have to do a lot to get the survivor off of that hook, right? There's just a lot of repercussions for this set. And a lot that the survivors really have to do if they want to play for low stage win cons. So hopefully we do see a bit of a 4K. I'm always hoping for a 4K, to be fair. Not rooting for one team or the other, just more exciting in general, in my opinion. But Myers really can go either way, I think. Definitely can get ran, definitely can use the element of surprise to catch the survivors off guard, and mistakes punish survivors very, very heavily in this set.
No, absolutely. Very, very well put, Jules. It's a set that, again, the survivors need to be very, very careful about how they want to approach it, how they want to play it. They need to focus on their communications and the quality of such, first and foremost, and then their micro will naturally follow. As we said, Team Invictus, one of the top teams in the world. Same with Team Onyx, very, very good team. They should have already the chase fundamentals there. Do not have to worry too much, but again, once you deplete some of those very key pallets, and once you have those corner pallets as well, those loop extender fillers that you can actually check spot and play around if you don't even have the full distance, then it becomes a tricky situation all around for our survivors. So if they don't have them, it's going to be rough. If they do have them, they need to use them wisely, lest they get forced down, and then very easy to create dead zones in the map. And of course, if those dead zones coincide with gens we need to get done, or active gens already, then it becomes very, very difficult and very, very challenging. However, we are just about getting ready to load in here with ILO on the Myers. And classic Team Invictus roster coming in hot, ready to see if they can start us off here on their opponent's pick to get us working towards a quick 2-0. We have Pedro, Nightlight, Kexo, and Spitz coming in here to play. No Dan today, it seems, so unlikely we'll lose our main IGL on Invictus, but I'm sure they will manage. ILO coming in here with a solo Ruin, Painrez, Eruption, and the Corrupt. Going to be using the stealth at the start of the game to make our distance to see where we can do. We already find Ruin. Was that Ruin that we saw Kexo? No, unfortunately not. That was not. We're just getting now we're getting our counterforce charged up, so then we can go and find Ruin. Very understandable. We have our first eyes on the killer. ILO here being found. The comm has come through, so all of our survivors can now switch into indoor game mode, which means play very safe until we know where the killer is, what he's doing, and then we can judge for ourselves what the play is. Spitz being fired first once again. Hopefully we don't see the same thing we saw last game with a very long chase from Spitz for ILO's sake. Are we gonna just choose to get as much stock as possible? That will be natural. However, a lot of LOS blockers remaining around here for Spitz to avoid as much of the stock as possible. ILO realizes this and is now going to be switching off to find 2 survivors here. Pedro and Nightlight not really quite aware of what ILO was cooking up for them. Nightlight's going to be going down for this. Pedro is right there. Some mistake in comms must have happened. Even the best team in the world can slip up, and now we're in a difficult situation because Nightlight very easily can be slugged here. Pedro doesn't really have much to play around. He's going to be forced to use one of the pallets that is either a 50 at best or just very, very bad in the corner there. Can Pedro juke? No, he cannot, and we already have 2 slugs coming into it. This is absolute catastrophe for Team Invictus' early game. But Emma, is it me or do they not seem too worried?
I think they should be worried, especially if the basement is there. I didn't get a chance to see where the basement spawned, and it did spawn at the bottom of the map. This could be terrible if we do manage to get Pedro as well in the basement. Of course, I would expect the survivor to be hovering very close by. The second Pedro gets picked up and carried to the basement, that unhook will come through. Yes, Spitz gonna be hovering here, will be getting the unhook in time, I believe. Maybe taking the tag, getting out of the basement though, so that will be the end of the tier 3. We are going to be hooking not in the basement actually, just trying to get maybe an extra tag, some extra stock on Spitz, and we do get quite a bit. That is the noise hearing. There's a bit of progress on the tier up, and now this is 2 hooks, pretty decent position here for Elo. However, I think just going to be leaving and going back towards the hook. So, I mean, pretty good start. I think that little mess up there in the corner of the Hawkins map, just a lot of survivors running into each other. So that definitely gave him a lot of momentum. And we also hooked a bit on the generator here. This is a very high progress gen. The blast mine means the hook can come through for free. I don't believe it is though. So yeah, the survivors just kind of have to do a little bit of cleanup here to get this unhook. And is this the find on the rotate as well? I don't think we even get this. Focus.
This is very, very bad for Team Invictus. Having your savior found is one of the most detrimental things that can happen to you as a survivor side. And one of the best things you can do as killer is find the unhook. This hook here, I believe, is also body blockable. So if Ilo chooses to camp this, oh wait, he didn't. They're not going to send the jiggy pull, right? Pedro goes second, right? Right? Okay, he does. Barely going second stage. Kexo must have still been around here somewhere. In fact, Ilo gonna go up to check back on the progress of the generator. We do not have a single one popped yet, and Pedro is sitting on second stage, being left to hang so that his team can get some progress. However, we do need to be careful that while we're getting this progress, Ilo doesn't make it all the way back to this hook and is able to secure the full death onto Pedro on first hook, as that would be very, very difficult. We do find Spitz rotating for the unhook again. I'm sure Kexo is coming over to try to make it happen. Surely we're not going to get 4K for it here in Invictus. No, my boys would never. We do see Nightlight with the eruption aura on the generator. Is Kexo around? No, Kexo is on a generator. Are we expecting the injured Nightlight to go for it, or are we just min-maxing our time? I think we're min-maxing our time. Kexo has the god room to play. He has been found, but he got fully pathed. Is the stock going to come out before the unhook does? That is the big question here. That is what is keeping Team Invictus's life in this set on the line. It doesn't look like it's going to be the case. Kexo gets down. Nightlight gets the pick onto Spitz, but we're never going to be able to get this unhook. Pedro dies on first hook. 4 generators still left. Nightlight has a hook in him. Everyone is injured. Kexo is on the ground. Domination from Ilo has just made every single play that could give him the biggest head start possible in this game happen. Now we're finding Nightlight again. We need to make this chase last. We need an opportunity to breathe and be able to get away from this terrible situation, but Nightlight goes down and it's now all up to Spitz. However, Ilo knows exactly where Spitz is heading for, needs to get the pick up onto Kexo, so he's going to be able to do that, but now the moment one of them goes down, they need to split apart as hard as possible so we can get the pick onto Nightlight and have a somewhat possible 3v1, otherwise we are stuck at a 4k4 situation. And Juls, this is absolute madness from Ilo as he gets it down onto Kexo as well.
This is insane. What a beast. Ilo is finding every rotation, finding every survivor, trying to go for every hook, and they've kind of been scrambling this whole game. There's no rest for any of these survivors, despite having pretty good perks too. We have good pickup perks. Unfortunately for the survivors, no deli, no unbreakable or anything like that. That would have definitely come in clutch there. But is this their highest progress gen? No way, right? Because if so, this is a 3v1 with very little gen progress, and that could be terrible. We are getting our inner healing. Nightlight did cleanse 2 totems at the start. They saw the ruin at the start, so that is kind of one of the only things that's looking up for them, is that we don't have any ruin in play. But this is Kexo in chase. There's no downtime. There's no rest at all for the survivors. And this pallet a little bit safer, so that is definitely could be a longer chase. Gonna be dropping it instantly, but this drop down proves that this pallet is a little bit less safe than you could give it credit for. I think we are going to make the second drop though. So we have kind of recovered a little bit here. Still not the best gen progress though from Team Invictus so far. If that is their highest progress gen, I do see Spitz is soloing a different generator somewhere, and that's only about 25%. But Kexa right now kind of bringing the game back in his team's favor with this excellent chase, just playing it safe, dropping pallets because we need that right now. And yeah, we're back in undetectable. It looks like wanting to interrupt Spitz's gen, and yeah, I think he did get off of the gen early a little bit, trying to play it safe, doesn't want to give any more snowball. We really don't want to get 4K forward here because that is next to an impossible result for the killer. I think this could be a down on Nightlight though, if we have enough stock. And looks like he does have a filler pallet here, so not giving away too much stock quite yet, but there is definitely some stock racking up. It is going to be getting a great stun there, and getting quite a bit of distance off of that, so kind of back in the trial a little bit. Blastmine coming through to help us out. Invictus might be pulling it back just a tiny bit, but how much can they really pull it back when it's still a 3v1 at 4 generators?
We definitely need to be playing as safe as humanly possible in this situation. We cannot be giving ILO anything more for free. We've already given away way too much. Nightlight once again getting found. ILO is not willing to give away this chase. Is not too interested in playing for a 4K4. Wants to be a bit more reserved, play a bit more safe, try to aim for a 4K3, but more realistically we're going to be seeing a 4K2 here, as again slight overcommit onto Kexo is going to allow the survivors of Team Invictus to get some time on these generators. Much needed time on these generators. Now we have Kexo running away, hopefully not found right after the unhook. Spitz needs to come from a different direction to try to play for the spool, but ILO has Kexo's scent. He knows that somebody's being nearby. He saw the scratch marks. Is he going to be able to make more out of it right now? He is undetectable, so the survivors need to be very careful, need to hold these hallways until they can get eyes on him to ensure a safer rotation. Spitz being found over here, but accidentally steps up onto the stairs instead of going for the pallet, and that is going to cost him. That Spitz going down, going right back to the unhook as fast as humanly possible right now. Kexo thankfully it's not even a trade. We're not slugging Kexo in return for Nightlight here, but it looks like ILO is interested in bringing this down all the way to a 2v1. Moment 15 seconds of BT right now. Nightlight can't even vault this pallet. It needs to get this fast vault. He's able to do so, but now death sentence situation right now. We have only this upstairs part of the map here to play. Nightlight is not able to make it to the pallet, and even if he did, that would have been a couple seconds but at most. We're going to be going down to a 2v1 at 2 generators remaining, and we see Kexo and Spitz trying to stack the last generator they're going to be working on, wanting to play for this 4K2, but I think they realized the unhook, the hook came in way too close, so ILO is going to find them. So look at this now. Kexo is going to try to take this chase away while ILO is preoccupied, but no, ILO believes there might be 2 active gens here, or may even have understood that they have stacked it already. Regardless, Spitz is right back on it, getting ready to roll, and Kexo needs to act as bait. We need to do anything we can to buy time. However, Spitz was not playing safe enough and fair enough in that situation. You kind of need to greed it. You kind of need to make sure that you can get any progress onto the map. But now Spitz on the ground. ILO very happy to slug here, and Kexo is going to be getting found sooner rather than later. Well, hopefully way before he gets to finish this generator. The only way that he can finish this is if ILO gets way too paranoid about what might be happening. Yeah, we're putting the blast mine on. Oh, it almost worked out, but Kexo is going to be going down yet again, and that is going to be 4K3, the indoor curse, hitting Invictus once again. You've heard them say it before, that they don't feel like they are the best indoor team, and you hear them say it, that they that a lot of their opponents also try to pick indoors against them because sometimes they are simply not the best on there. And I believe not having Dan here will also make a difference in the situation, as you would normally see him in these coordination sets, being the IGL and trying to make something happen. But yeah, 4K3, very decisive result. And it almost feels like Invictus kind of had a chance to bring it back together, at least get to be to a 4K2. However, even though Kexo's chase was incredible, it was slightly wasted as we did not get the amount of gen progress that was necessary to do so. And yeah, I mean, hey, ILO should be very proud of themselves. Showed exactly why this was Onyx's pick, and Invictus now is in the situation where they've been 4K3'd, so they have their work cut out for them.
Yeah, kind of a toss-up there. We got 4K3 to on the Ghoul, and now dishing out a 4K3 to Team Invictus. Kind of sad for me that my one of my first sightings of a Shane in comp, he was gone so soon. But it happens. And we do see. I mean, yeah, there's I think a lot of communication errors that match, and like we said, those hook positions really can matter. Finding those rotations, ILO managed to find almost every rotation exactly when it mattered, pressuring out the survivors when it mattered so they couldn't just sit on gens far away from the hook. They didn't have the communication to really get that pull for either. And then when we saw it enter 3v1, it was kind of over. They did manage to pop another generator, but if the 3v1 is deadly for the generators, then the 2v1 is even more so. And yeah, I just couldn't quite pop another gen there. And yeah, I mean, Myers tends to be 4K1 to outs, I would like to say, especially with these perks allowed like Balanced Landing. We have Inner Healing, we have Solidarity, some other things like that. And that is a pretty strong set of perks for the survivors. I think maybe outs is expected here. So this will be a very, very difficult time for the next killer, for Invictus's killer. And yeah, I mean, getting that ruin out of the trial is super important for Invictus as well. I think Nightlight using his counterforce, he cleansed that main building totem, and I think it led him straight to the counterforce totem. That happened to be the one that was further away. And here we see where it all went wrong. That's Pedro, I believe, kind of lurking around the chase. There's two survivors in this corner where really that double down wasn't exactly what ended the trial, but it definitely did help it to end a little bit faster. Nightlight taking that first down and slugging out to get Pedro down as well in the same area, getting two hooks super early in the trial. And I'm honestly impressed that without that basement hook, we managed to secure that hook on the edge of the bottom side as well. I think I personally expected them to take him to basement, but I also can see the benefit there of not hooking basement, just getting a faster hook so we can interrupt the survivors coming out of the basement there. So very good decision making, I think, on our killer's part.
Yeah, I mean, ILO did a great job literally taking everything that Team Invictus's mistakes gave him. As we say, the double up didn't lose completely the game, but it definitely lost the early game. And the early game is so important on an indoor killer, simply because if you put more pressure onto the survivors and they're then having to be forced in situations that are inherently unsafe because they might be injured, they may have too many stages on them, some resources have been depleted, it becomes just exponentially more difficult for them to then come back, to make better plays happen, to just anything, everything, and everything. When you have a start like that, yeah, I mean, honestly, maybe that was even 4K forable if we didn't overcommit to Kexo, but I understand ILO wanting to play it safe, also can use the time to gather information while that chase is going on. However, yeah, 4K3, definitely a result that he is going to be very happy about, regardless of what could happen in that situation. I mean, saying that you 4K3'd Invictus, that must be a great start to their weekend. Also, I would like to greatly apologize. It seems that I've been under a misconception. Our player's name is not ILO, it is in fact ILO. My mistake. Now I feel very, very silly because I have casted them before and I've always called them ILO. ILO, if you're hearing me, my friend, I deeply apologize. Regardless, we're going to be moving forward with this and seeing now where things that are. We hear Spitz's chase here, being found on the on-hook rotation again, and it just comes out just so naturally to Elo to then find on rotation, know exactly when to give it up and go try to get as much pressure as humanly possible, which is very difficult to do. It's very difficult when you make a good play and you find a rotation. You then also have to realize when that rotation, when it's going to be what's beneficial to you to come off of that rotation and try to look for something else, maybe something different. But yeah, I mean, incredibly well played from Elo. A lot of uncharacteristic mistakes on the side of Invictus, communication-wise more than anything. So they put themselves in a tough spot from the early game that is just so hard to come back from, having Pedro dead on first hook, having slugs, having injuries, having just absolutely everything. Yeah, I mean, just simply well played from Elo. What else can I say? Did a great job. That's part of it. Capitalizing on the mistakes is part of it. And seeing as this is Onyx's pick, I'm guessing the survivor side should be pretty confident in getting that 4k2, which would then, if that does happen, even if a tie does happen, we will be moving forward to our unknown Wrecker's Yard tiebreaker, another Nightlight killer that has a lot of potential, especially after recent buffs. He has seen a dramatic increase in stages and kill rate at times, so very interesting set also there, Jules.
Yeah, for sure. I've seen people say before that it feels like from the killer POV that survivor mistakes don't really matter as much. I would like to disagree and say that it really depends on the killer. And I think that Myers, when you're playing survivor, if you make a mistake, it can really matter a lot, depending on the mistake here. And we saw a couple of mistakes come through that really just ended the game fast, and they really could not recover. Of course, there's some killers, lower tiers maybe, in particular, and just maybe if you make a mistake or two, it can't hurt too much, but Myers is an insta-down killer. Like we said, a hook in a bad spot can end the game quite swiftly, and a rotation getting found, maybe also a game-ending mistake. And I know we were saying that Myers is a little bit boring, but honestly, seeing how on a dime that these sets can go kind of make it a little more interesting, in my opinion. Definitely fun to watch, fun to cast. I think we are heading into the next set. We're going to have to see if our killer can maybe play for a tie, perhaps. I don't know if a 4k4 is possible. It is Team Invictus, though. Maybe with some excellent game sense, maybe some mistakes from the survivor and some rotations getting found. But of course, when you're playing for a high gen win con, it's really difficult for this. I mean, the survivors can just sit on gens and not have to worry about as much. So we are going to see Pedro starting off pretty much the same build. We do have a Ruin up, we have Eruption, we have Pain Res. We're going to be heading into our Corrupt deep on the top side of the map, and I'm noticing already there's a bit of a gen spread on the bottom side. Looks like the 3 corrupted gens are quite far apart on the top side. And this is our first survivor. Instantly dropping that pallet, playing it safe. I think that is Beauty. Going to be taking a chase. Maybe Pedro will leave, just try to clear out some pallets in the area.
Yeah, Pedro more than happy to take one of those corner pallets that can be very, very tedious to deal with. Seems to be catching Bury out though on the rotation ever so slightly here. Finds the active gen with Aaron on it. That Ruin, while it's up, it's going to get a lot of value simply because our survivors need to play very, very safe. We dropped a flashbang or a cracker and we blinded ourselves. Or maybe that was a spectator bug, I'm not sure. However, Aaron here being found, trying to walk through Pedro as the power now comes up. However, that might be a down. Need to play carefully here. Need to play very careful. Aaron losing that 50 in the end. Not being able to force the pallet break and going to be going down for it. Very timely first down. But as I was saying, yes, Ruin is very, very good on a killer like Myers and generally on indoor killers. Simply because you have to play very safe. And you need to spend time being off of gens and holding specific spots in the map, which will allow you to get maximum advantage of if and when the killer is coming at you. So a lot of passive value to be gotten here. Scroily already there for the unhook and is going to be getting it instantly. Pedro has no plans of trying to follow up on that. Needs to get as much pressure on the map as possible. Needs to remove as much gen pressure as possible. Maybe see what we're seeing here is a slight misplay by Levi though, forcing himself into a 50-50 situation, unfortunately, and gonna be going down for it. Pedro going to be happy to take this pallet out of the way, pick this up, try to get a pain res going. Hopefully the most active generator should not pop by the time he's able to get this. We have Scroily still staying around for that pull, wants to make sure, and yeah, we have almost no gen progress to speak of. That Ruin putting in work, and Pedro is also now aware of where the highest progress generator is, so now he can make macro decisions based off of that. Again, another insta pull onto Levi. This is very, very standard. When you have high gen win cons, you do not need to give Pedro any opportunities to snowball, to have multiple survivors out of commission at once. You just pull them as fast as possible as and when the pool is free, and you can have 4 survivors comfortably in the match, because you can go down to 3v1, just not yet. So you really want to make Pedro work for it here as he tries to cut out another rotation. I think he finds Buey or Scroily. I believe that might have been Scroily actually. No, yeah, that is Scroily being found there on the active generator. Ruin still up, and maybe even our survivors want to dedicate some time to get rid of this Ruin, because they must be realizing that it's kind of eating at them right now. Pedro can simply collect info, go from place A to place B, and find on the active gens, stalk, get power. Levi being found again. Now this is a great situation to try to get a death hook in, using that pallet to drop it to get as much distance as humanly possible But Levi, is he going to be able to make something happen? Does he have another pallet here to play? No, I believe this was already dropped or maybe even didn't exist earlier. So we're going to have a Death Hook Survivor. And again, I don't think we have that much progress on the map. Juls, as I say that, we turn to Buey, who actually has a gen 75%. So I will shut.
I mean, to be fair, you're probably right. I don't think we have much other progress besides this main gen, which will be the Tycon once we pop both of them. I think the Ruin has done quite a bit of work. There should be more gen progress, I think. Given how, I mean, he's been pretty concentrated on the bottom side of the map, and these pulls coming through pretty fast as well has been helping us out here a little bit. Pedro perhaps playing for a Tycon here because this main gen is guaranteed to pop. I think Kate could die right now and the gen would still pop. We are going to be playing on these double pallets. These are very, very safe pallets. We do have a bit of an upside with the ramp there, but Levy going to be sending it away. Very, very safe, playing this as safe as possible. And now we are at the Tycon, so Pedro really has to get them down now. And this might be a down coming through from our teammate. Yeah, that's Buey going to be taking the down for the teammate. And we are sending it up the map, maybe into a bit of a dead zone. It looks like there is one more pallet to go. It's 5 moves ahead value, helping us see that pallet aura, but an excellent mind game from Pedro. Going to be cutting us off, getting us down here. This is a 3v1, so this could be a little bit dicey from here on out. We saw in the previous trial how difficult it was for the Invictus survivors to pop another gen in the 3v1. They did manage to get it done, but I think with this little gen progress and Ruin still up, I believe, it might get a little bit tough. I think we need to cleanse this Ruin to make anything happen here. Especially with Pedro, excellent game sense on this killer and in general, of course. And I think he does know that this survivor is getting this generator is getting doubled by these survivors here in the exit gates. So that will be a down onto our fresh survivor, and we are going to be getting a pain res as well. So much gen progress halted, but no, that is the win condition. Pedro looks like he didn't know that gen was high on progress. Neither did I, to be fair. Yeah, so excellent job by our survivors. We are going to be going into the tiebreaker, actually, which, I mean, I honestly didn't expect it, but I'm happy to see it. So that will be the unknown Volkuz. But in the meantime, we are going to be seeing this game get wrapped up. So an excellent down on this filler here. I believe we are going to be getting the pool. So the 2 survivors standing now. Pedro wants to end this game fast.
Honestly, Team Onyx not only surprised me with Elo's performance, but they also surprised me with their gen prog here. I believe they kind of tricked all 3 of our game senses. Both me, you, Pedro, and undoubtedly Nightlight in the VC must have thought that there was not as much gen progress. And the reason why we thought that is because we saw them a lot. We simply saw the injured survivors running around. We saw the healthy survivors running around. We saw what Pedro saw, and we kind of had access to the same info he did. And all of us kind of thought and all of us kind of together thought, okay, they don't have that much gen prog. Turns out they actually do. Not only do they have enough, they have more than enough to be able to head into the 4K2, or at least, sorry, to pop the 3 generators and be with 2 generators remaining. So even if the 4K2 comes out now, that is already the win decided for Team Onyx. And honestly, yeah, I mean, as you said, no hate to Team Onyx, but we have to call a spade a spade. Team Invictus is one of the most dominant teams in the world, and Team Onyx hasn't quite proven themselves to be up on that top 5 team level quite yet. But hey, with results like this might change very shortly, because they must be more than happy to be in this situation with where they're taking a set off of Invictus and they're actually getting a chance at the tiebreak. And need to remind everybody at home that not only is this matchup important because it's fun for everybody to watch, it's also important because whichever team loses is going to be knocked out of this tournament. So if Invictus were to lose here, there is no second coming, there is no recompense, there is nothing else to come here in the situation. So they would simply be out of the tournament and just gone. So if Team Onyx can manage to do that, that is something to put on your CV for sure. Pedro trying to make a read here on this 50-50 situation on the very small window. Squirrely going to be getting caught out. But yeah, Pedro, I think, wants to wrap this game up as soon as he can. He doesn't want to spend too long messing around and looking and playing the slow game. He knows that his team has already lost, so they want to go next. Go get that unknown on Wrecker's Yard here. And honestly, I think I don't want to say anything, but surprises are yet to come. I've been surprised before. I'm surprised here today, and I will be very, very gladly surprised a third time in the tiebreaker.
Yeah, no, for sure. An unknown, one of my favorite sets in comp. I know you said Ghoul was one of yours. I like the unknown. I love watching him play. I love the bounce shots he can make, and we have some pretty proficient unknown players on these teams as well. But in the meantime, I do want to cast the little bit of the match that we have wrapping up. This is, I mean, kind of a gen spread at the bottom side. This is a satellite gen at the top. I think that was the gen that Buey was working on earlier. We saw a little bit of progress, but with Rune still up, I honestly wonder if he's going to go scout the map a little bit while he rotates for the pickup, trying to find the Ruin. So this match might take a little bit longer here. So far, have not seen the Ruin Totem anywhere. Of course, we know from spectator POV it is on the bottom side, and that will be the pickup coming through. We are now in chase with both of these survivors. I think we're going to be going for the injured survivor who did go upstairs. Aaron is Death Hook as well, so has to be super, super careful. I think we saw them earlier on spectator, kind of lurking at the top side in the area where the gens have not, or have already been done, excuse me. And I mean, Buey going to be most likely hovering around for the pick again, but we are able to find them. Pedro kind of sniffed them out there. Very good game sense to know that we are trying to instantly get that pickup. Maybe while Aaron works that topside generator, I don't know, but I would not be surprised if we are just cranking topside, trying to get another generator popped while Buey wastes time at the bottom on this one pallet. This is not the safest pallet against the Myers, and we switch POVs right as he goes down. But this gen, 50%. Would not be surprised if we are going to be slugging here, trying to go for that final gen, trying to go for that 3 slug. Scoily does still have pain res available on him, and one more survivor does as well. I have not been paying attention to which survivor that might be, but it might be Buey on the ground. I think there's a good chance we do get the pickup here. Aaron sending it bottom side. I think that will be a pickup onto our Jake Park, and there is a rapidly approaching Myers terror. He is coming down that right side hallway. I think this could be a down on one of them, especially with no eyes on the Myers. So Buey might have to do some fancy moves out of sight. But yeah, this is definitely looking like a 4K3 to me. However, that satellite gen, has 50% progress last time we left it with Ruin still up.
Ooh, I really like the attempt there on the flick by Pedro. That was very, very well attempted to be executed. Just barely going short of it though. Now Buey going to be seen again. Aaron also being seen here. And yeah, guys, the match is pretty much over. So now Pedro is just looking for any opportunity to get 2 simultaneous downs, commit the 3rd survivor, and be done with it. Scoily almost on the ground, almost full bleed out there. I believe here, even if the win condition hadn't already been made, even if we had stages win condition, the bleed out would count for the full stages if anybody is curious at home. Now Pedro, again, yeah, just very comfortable to keep holding this slug. Has all the time in the world. If they want to go and stack a generator for the bleed out, that is definitely a play. We see Buey and Aaron here trying their best to hold it. However, Pedro is aware, finds him, and now we're in the situation where we have 2 people on the ground and we can freely commit Aaron to put the 4K2 in the books and always be done with it. Now Scoily going to be going down again. He's going to be bleeding out before he even gets to be hooked here. So Aaron going to continue this chase, trying his best to last as long as possible, and as I say that, he gives up. So perfect. Aaron is going to be going down. Death Hook out of the game immediately. Scoily has bled out. All that takes now is to find Buey, give him a nice little Mori kiss on the cheek, send him on his way so we can get going with our unknown. But yeah, I mean, it was simply a lot, even from Pedro, even from one of the best players in the world. It's simply sometimes too much to ask for to try to 4K4, 4K3. He did a great job trying for it. This map pressure was very well spread out. And as we said, Team Onyx's survivor side really surprised us with how much gen progress they had with their in their sort of early mid game. Even after giving a couple downs, they want to they really for sure want to do things differently, focus on their generators while also showing themselves. I need to see it from their side to know exactly how they made that play happen, but you know what, they did it, they surprised us all, and I am very, very happy that they did. Okay, so that is the Meyer set being wrapped up officially. Team Onyx takes their pick, bringing us to 1-all in score. That's 1-1. So now the tiebreaker is going to be the deciding factor over who gets to remain in our league here in a Revival tournament. And yeah, I mean, I think everybody would be very, very surprised if the winner is an Invictus. But honestly, with how who doesn't love an underdog story? I know I do. So seeing Onyx come out here and win the set so like decisively makes me have great hopes for the unknown tiebreaker. He is also, I believe, on his standard map of Wrecker Yards, so nothing too crazy there for our players. They should both be very, very familiar with the map, the killer, the set, and how it should all play out. Very common comp set. Much more so after as well the unknown buffs. Before it was kind of seen as like maybe a bit more boring set, but now it is most definitely a bit more mainstream. So teams should have it practiced, should understand it, should know it well. We see here on your screen the hit tank that tried its best, and it was a great attempt, and it actually worked out there, managing to keep our survivor alive for just a little bit longer, as now we are getting the lobby readied up. And if I'm not mistaken, they're normally the unknown, which is a nightlight killer, is actually might be getting played by Pedro. That is weird. That is strange. We very, very rarely see something like that happening. The last time I saw something like this, Pedro playing a Nightlight Killer, was when Pedro was trying to practice his Ghoul for the Mondial World Cup that he had to play Ghoul in. So, not exactly sure why we have Pedro on it and not Nightlight. However, I am sure our questions will be answered at a later date. But yeah, very excited to see how these teams are going to do. And let's see if Onyx can really pull out the upset and send Invictus home.
And Unknown seems to me like one of those killers that many teams have multiple of, and maybe this is the case here. Pedro just trying his hand at the Unknown. Like you said, this is a common Nightlight set. However, Unknown, definitely very versatile. And in this set, we tend to see, once we enter the 3v1, gets really hard for the survivors, as we do with a lot of other sets as well. But the problem with the Unknown set is it's very difficult to enter that 3v1 in the first place. He's very jukeable, very juiceable. You miss one shot and you kind of have, I mean, your chase time is extended by a significant amount after that shot is missed. So very punishing killer. However, with those buffs, like you said, a little bit more forgiving. That tends to maybe have some shorter chases every once in a while, just because of those extra few seconds of infection that remain on the survivor can really make or break in a chase like that. I mean, of course, usually if you can break line of sight once or twice with the survivor, you might be able to get a second shot in. With excellent camera work, perhaps may be a little bit different though. We'll have to see though. Definitely a very difficult set for the killer. And I mean, survivors, this is Rutgers Yard, man. This is a set that we're all very accustomed to, a map that is very comfortable as well. This is one of the most classic maps in comp. However, it did get a buff, maybe I want to say over a year ago. Definitely makes it a lot harder for the killer. There's so many fillers, so many pallets, lots of strong tiles. Most of the time, I don't believe that the snake tile spawns on this map, which is one of the weaker tiles as well. So most of the time you get a stronger tile. And then the shack, of course, the shack right in the middle of the map, connecting everything. Just such an area of safety. Usually you can run through it to get to the other side of the map. Dropping that shock pallet can get you from one side to the other pretty easily, unless of course you get a good shot off by the Unknown or something like that. But it is the case for many killers. Like Spirit plays on this map, for example. A lot of the times you take your tag, you send it to Shack, you drop that pallet, and you can make it to the other side of the map to a better death location. So having such a strong structure in the middle of this map makes it super playable for the survivors just to get some good death spots. I don't think you need to worry too much about death spots in the Unknown set in particular, just because he's so jukeable. Like I said, you can really extend your chase time without having to worry about that too much. But yeah, we are going to be heading into the set soon. This is Sroily, Aaron, Bue, and Elo on the survivor, Pedro on the killer, and I'm kind of excited to see what Pedro can cook up here, Volkuz.
Regardless of what, Pedro is still Pedro, right? So we do expect a pretty beastly performance from him. And yes, as you said about the map, all my ladder players know that this map can spawn in certain orientations and in certain ways that make it absolutely brainless to play. It's very easy to sometimes go through the tiles and then end up back at Shack, vice versa, and make a decent dead spot. However, One of the things that is also funny about this set is that the extra added sense of randomness and zoning capability of the unknown actually plays a better part into it. Yeah, again, very interesting to see Pedro on this. Very excited to see what he can cook up. I literally have no idea. I don't think I've ever seen Pedro play this killer. Don't know how much experience he has, if he plays it off stream, if he plays it how he chooses to, if they've scrimmed it, no idea. And we do have some pretty hefty perks allowed on the survivor side, so we need to be we need to be wary of that also. Okay, we're now loaded into the game. The normal survivor roster, as we said here, already been announced, and looks like Pedro is going to be looking at Pain Risk, Hope Eruption, Corrupt. Very, very classic. Expected nothing less from Pedro as he's looking to find his way into the very first chase. Finds, I believe that's Aaron that we see here. Is that Aaron? Yes, that is Aaron on the Nancy being found first. Can we last for a long time in this chase? And yeah, that's one of the things about playing tiles against the unknown. A lot of tiles naturally have lanes, or they have little nooks and crannies that you can't really avoid the unknown's projectile on. However, Pedro is not able to convert that very first hit with the M2, so he's instead going to be taking the M1. Still has the time to commit, though. Jungle Gym here, available for Aaron to play very, very last dip. Okay, it does seem like Pedro has played this killer before. You know what? Definitely not first timing the unknown over here. We do have this very, very strong rock filler, though. Can we outplay it with the M2? Is it going to be possible? No, Pedro kind of guessed wrong on where Aaron was going to take his pathing, and now we're going into the dumpster filler. Yeah, God Rock into dumpster filler. That screams Wreckers, and such a small miss all the way there from Pedro. It's going to cost him a lot, and this first chase is lengthy right now. Pedro just going to be choosing to take that break. That sounded like a fast break, so I'm going to go ahead and guess that is the game cartridge add-on. But yeah, Aaron doing a great job there, just winning distance after distance. We have Elo coming in from the sidelines to try to extend this chase, but Aaron says, no, I don't need you, I need Shaq regardless. Now, Shaq probably going to be going down, and yeah, if this chase keeps going, then Pedro is really not going to have much going for him in terms of, that was so close, but in terms of potential tunnel out. Getting another tag onto Ilo, I think we're going to choose to convert to get another shot attempt at Aaron, maybe then leave this chase. No, Pedro, I think maybe realizing that he has to commit. That should be most of Team Onyx's gen progress, as Aaron is again now kind of caught in the edge man. Needs to jiggy a little bit. Has another rock filler to play. This is so rough for Pedro right now. The survivors just kind of have everything going for them. Is he going to be able to mind game this? Is he in range? No, not quite. Forcing the pallet drop down. Come on, get this. Nice, beautiful shot there from Pedro to finally get that very first jump, but even more so, incredibly well played chase by Aaron to really put his team in a great spot going into the very, very start of this game.
Yeah, I could not put it better myself, and we had so much RNG. Still standing as well. Records here just getting chewed through, but it doesn't even matter. This map is kind of insane sometimes, and we had that chase through 3 quick gambit cycles, by the way.
Oh my God.
I believe some quick gambit value to be had there. I was watching it just tick by while you were casting, and I wonder how much gen progress we got from that. Hard to say, but yeah, I mean, when that first hit came through, I was like, oh man, that's going to be a bit of a faster chase here, but no, we managed to last quite a bit of time. I don't know if Pedro's going to even try to tunnel. It looks like he is trying to go back to the hook at least. Maybe he has his sights set on our Nancy here. Aaron is spotted in this tile, maze tile here. I think the pallet is still standing, and we are not going to take an infection. However, we are zoned a little bit to this deep 3 pocket. Going to be playing around this pallet. Isn't going to drop it yet. And an excellent stun. An excellent stun by Aaron here. He does also dodge out away from that M2 and will be losing the 50. That will be a second down quite fast, actually, compared to his first chase at least. And we see, though, all 3 survivors in the trial. Not in chase, going to be just cranking these gens. There's some decent progress on all 3 of them. However, none of them are too close to popping. Just a bit of progress across the board, so not too bad at all. However, the first gen that popped was in the corner that we are down. There's not too many gens in this corner anymore. So great that spot by Aaron. And I mean, like we said in the previous intermission, that shock pallet dropped helped us get to the other side of the map. That was excellent for the death spot. So we are just going to be camping a little bit, trying to maybe force a trade. We are getting gen progress. In the meantime, we want Aaron dead as soon as possible. However, survivors very much willing to just sit on gens. And I think Buey just definitely hovering a little bit. Maybe we're going to be going for a last second trade here, trying not to be found too early. And Pedro very, very comfortable to stay in the area. Very comfortable just to get Aaron out of the trial with no pressure on the rest of the map. And yeah, I mean, getting the 3v1 now would be possibly in the 1 gen area, I'd like to say. We're trying to body block here as well, and that will be the pull coming through. That's huge for Buey. We don't get the body block, so that is another chase coming through. There's a potential for an end game here, I think, Volkuz, by the time this chase was over.
No, definitely a potential for the end game run. I'm surprised Pedro didn't choose to replace that hook. I'm not quite sure if that was the Painless hook. Forgive me, slight lapsing in my concentration. However, we seem to be quite willing to commit onto Aaron for now, but if I know anything from my own experience, if the survivors are so willing to throw themselves at this for now, it probably means that they don't actually have the gen pressure yet, because if they were not too worried, they would be very happy to just give up Aaron's death, go 3v1, pop the last gen, and see the outs. But considering we're still throwing bodies at this, must mean that the gen is not exactly ready to pop yet. Elo gonna be going down now, and now we're gonna get our pain rest, and now this will be a good opportunity for Pedro to try to get as much info on where the gens are, what they are, what the progress is looking like, and then maybe if he's able to get all of that under control, try to find Aaron again, who is undoubtedly going to be getting reset soon, to try to get the tunnel out, get into a 3v1 and play for a, honestly, beyond ideal 4k1 result. With the start Team Onyx has had, 4k1 should be pretty much untouchable right now. Pedro does have a nice little web of hallucinations that he can teleport to all over the map, it seems. Almost maybe too many. This has to be an add-on that I am not aware of. So Pedro going to be continuing his surveillance around the map, looking for any potential rotation, trying to see if he can gain any more info, while Ilo is sitting on that hook, knows how much gen progress they've had, and clearly is not too worried about it just yet. Thinks he may have spotted somebody there. Did he see the rotation? I personally didn't see anyone, but maybe Pedro knows something I don't. Scratch that. He definitely knows something I don't, but not really able to act on it just yet. Ilo not too, Ilo not too far from going into that second stage already, which will be a very, very fine spot for Pedro, as then he will be able to completely leave this area and go look to see where the other generator progress is. However, the generator progress is the shack. I'm surprised. I thought we would be choosing to go for a generator. That is slightly further from this. The blast mine going to be coming out, but now we put our eruption onto the shack generator. Unhook comes out onto Elo, and now is Aaron and Elo, 2 potential tunnel outs to take us into the 3v1. If Pedro is able to bring it back, it will be nothing short of absolute cinema if he's going to get it. Buey here in chase right now, gonna be getting, we put down the M2, is in time. Can Pedro's M1 mechanics prove to win this situation? No, Buey is already there, and we see somebody, we also saw Aaron here coming in, maybe for a potential altruistic play. That is something that shows confidence in their gen prog, if you're sending the tunnel out to make an altruistic play, and Pedro realizes that, but slightly too late, as that final generator does get stacked and popped. Now we'll have 4 stages going into endgame. Pedro's ideal target right now will be Buey to try to get all of those stages, but as I say that, Buey does in fact get reset. So now that potential potential 7 stages to refresh is gonna be looking a bit harder right now. We are on our only our only injured survivor right here, who is Elo. Is Pedro going to be able to do and play for the 5 stages? But 5 stages too fresh. You can't, ideally you want more than that, but maybe with the early game that they had and with the insane chase Aaron had, maybe Pedro is just happy to take that and write home about it. However, it doesn't seem to be so great yet. Wants to get the slug going for now and collect as much info. Oh my god, Scroily, how did you get away with that? Jesus, that was not really what I expected there, but Scroily, not exactly sure why he is sitting around here for the situation. He has no firecracker. He wants to play for this pallet save, but pallet saves currently are very, very risky, and he is another fresh cook, almost as if Team Onyx isn't satisfied with 5 stages to fresh. They maybe want to try to get more out. Aaron, however, on the other side of the map has gone down, so that's going to be the same result with or without Scroily's intervention there. We do see Buey trying to make a cracker play or something of the sort, I believe, but that would be Aaron going out. But now we do find the fresh hook Scroily, who unfortunately cannot be committed onto right now, as they will make it out. And yeah, it looks like very, very difficult to get anything other than 5. Never mind, I was wrong. We can actually, in fact, get 6-2 because we called Elo sleeping slightly around the shack, and Pedro is going to be very, very happy that that is one more stage that he didn't think he was getting, so he will take that, and of course, after that, he will be exiting out the door. 6-2, final result. Wow, that is... What I mean, they just played so incredibly well, but that is still pretty close to kind of an average result for the unknown. So definitely not gonna be free for Team Onyx's killer side either.
Yeah, I wonder how much that extra stage will matter in the long run. They really wanted to get the 4th stage. And I don't blame them, honestly. 4 stages is definitely a much, much easier result than 5. It might only seem like 1 stages, but Unknown can get ran on this map, like we've just seen. Not the strongest killer. You miss 1 UVX shot, and it's kind of over for you for a while. We saw Nancy's first chase. There were a couple of UVXs missed and just couldn't get the reinfection in time. Just made so much distance every time. Here's the first hit coming through super early, and we saw right after that just so many shots back to back to back. We're getting cleansed, and just excellently played. Excellent camera work too. We seem we see the importance of getting your UVX off here. How the camera work can help you get that into a longer chase. This translates into minutes, honestly, at this point. And yeah, there's the you see in the bottom right corner, there's a quick gambit there. Running on its timer, we see, I think it goes down twice here in this entire chase. We get 3 different instances of quick gambit in this entire first chase, and I wonder how much in progress that got at the beginning. And here, I was almost wondering if Pedro could have swung for that. I was looking at that and just thinking to myself, maybe that would have hit, but I think he did pull up his M2 in time, didn't try for it at all. And I mean, yeah, just so many fillers getting chewed through and so many fillers remaining. This chase really was what made or broke that 4 stages to 6 stages here. Got a very, very good result because of Aaron's pathing, excellent camera work, excellent jukes, and just all around great survivor play.
Yeah, that is exactly the first chase you want to see on any set, especially a set against a relatively weaker killer. Because against stronger killers, even if you have a good first chase, they can still try to find ways to snowball around it. Even on a great example being chases that were sets where chases are not really expected to last. Chases like Dark Lord, sets like like Dark Lord, like maybe some Blight here and there, where you really everybody understands that chases should not really last too long, and we can play around that. However, in this situation where chases are kind of expected to last, Aaron goes above and beyond and gives us almost a 2-minute chase to start the tiebreaker off with. So yeah, very, very, very strong showing from Team Onyx there. But again, as I stated before, and I want to state again, this is by no means a predetermined result. It's not like you got 4k4. It's not like anything like that where you think, okay, yeah, the game is pretty much over. No, 6 stages too fresh is most definitely a not even, I mean, a tieable result for sure in with Unknown, but also even a surpassable result, maybe winnable. 5 stages too fresh is all they need, and 6 stages 3 fresh, or say any form of 7 stages, will be all that all Onyx's killer side needs to in fact win. And as remember, whoever wins now on what could potentially be our very last game played here will be knocking out the opposing team completely from the tournament and making sure that they advance in the losers bracket to try to claw the way to that grand final right here. As we said, this is going to be a huge upset if Invictus is the one to get out of this situation, and I fully believe in Onyx. They have proven themselves a lot today, a lot, and I'm sure starting off your weekend with getting good results versus Invictus is a great way for a comp player to start the weekend. Always, we can see, every time we look at it, we just see more and more plays happening. Unfortunately, we were not able to quite get only the 5 stages out, even though Scroily was very riskily playing for this pallet save. We only could ever get those 6 stages. But yeah, again, a very doable result on both sides here. It could be very easy that Onyx's killer side has a bad first chase, and they were in exactly the same thing we saw with Aaron. Or it could also be that they have an amazing first chase, and then Invictus is really feeling the pressure and has to make incredible plays happen in order to make it work. So yeah, expect to see some altruism, expect to see giving up injuries for better death location, everything like that. We really need to make every little bit last. Again, we can even allow a tunnel out. We can go 3v1. This is one of the things a lot of Survivor players get wrong some of the times, that you should never go 3v1. No, sometimes you can afford to go 3v1, but you need to be ready to know, you need to know what to sacrifice and what you should be willing to give up in order to get to that 3v1. If you can go 3v1 but have almost every generator popped, that's probably worth it. So yeah, Team Invictus should know that off of the top of their head. So now we're just about getting ready to load in here with, you know what, Jules, since you like this killer so much, you can start us off and tell us, what do you think now, Team Invictus? How are they going to play to make sure they can get at least 5 stages out the door?
I don't think this is out of the realm of possibility at all, though. I think on paper, yeah, 6 stages is not too many. It is just the 2K. They were, however, on only 2 fresh. I think it was Elo and Aaron that died in that trial. Bue and Scorley got out for free. No stages on them at all. So this is a little bit better for the killer here, just because of the 2 fresh, but still 6 stages on unknown can be really, really difficult, especially when you're playing against one of the best Survivor teams in the world. Elo, however, definitely made something happen on Myers. I'm excited to see what he does here. We are already chasing 2 survivors here. Can't quite see which survivors they are yet, but we are going to be choosing to go for the survivor at this maze tile. And no, window gym, actually. It looks like this is a little bit of a less strong tile, but the survivor here, definitely very aware. Shane, this is Pedro, taking chase to the maze tile, Deep 9. Going to be playing around the pallet and sending it back towards the window, I think. No, we have the pallet here. That's going to be an excellent use. Chaining it into this, but this might be an instant tag. No, we actually base out the window here, going back to the pallet, and we are going to be possibly getting our infection off, but not without a tag, though. No, we don't get our infection off at all, Volkuz. That will be a tag to the M2. This could be a bit of a fast down if we manage to land our last shot, and it could happen. Yes, it does, and that is an excellent first down. Elo showing up today on the killer. I am honestly very impressed. I've seen Elo a bit in comp, but today just blowing it out of the park, and very, very well played. I mean, the first gen does pop for it, but we're off to an excellent start. However, of course, Team Invictus not slacking at all on the gen progress, so we are looking decent on the survivor end as well.
Yeah, Elo really came to play today. He is locked in, excuse me, they are locked in beyond belief right now. Both on Myers and now on Unknown, showing us exactly what they can do. And they have a very, very interesting build. They already lost a Devour, unfortunately, which could have been a big play. But now they have a stack of Penti, which pretty much is a blanket speed debuff for the Survivor speed. And we also have a Rancor. Pedro is currently our Obsession, which is unfortunate. That is not the ideal thing you want with Rancor. You want to save it to endgame to try to get those full 3 stages from that Mori. However, now Spitz being found and going to be taking that M1 all the way towards this crane, barely juking away from the UVX, has now max distance on this crane to play with. Is he going to be able to make good use out of it? This is not, being upstairs though, is not the ideal spot you want to be in. Could easily get found there. Now has the dumpster filler here, very, very strong, and decides that he also has the distance to leave it and play for something else. Pedro has been pulled in the meantime, but we're not resetting him, realizing now that we need a lot. And actually the survivors will have already known to call out the Rancor, as in fact does proc to give information every time a generator is completed. So Pedro, they know that because he's the Obsession, and I don't believe they have any means of changing their Obsession in the builds, so they are very happy to give up Pedro, knowing that that means that they can't get free the 3 free stages at the very end. Spitz now goes down after a pretty good chase, getting hooked now. Probably that was also, I would have said that was a pain rest, but we don't have pain rest, so my mistake. Pedro now being found here in correlation with Rocket, choosing to stay at this window gym, as we said, not the safest tile in the world, still has Shack to play around with. Rocket does appear to be here to try to make something happen. Nightlight now being, however, the one in the crosshairs of the Unknown, forcing that M1, not going to be quite able to get much more than just the M1, but he's going to stay nearby to light up the other Pentimento. So now that both possible Pentimento stacks used up, if the survivors can cleanse this, they will be playing with 1 perk, and that perk will only be an info perk and then come back into play in the end game. So this is actually a very interesting situation that has been created here, Jules. I mean, this feels very, very unique, something our perks also have allowed us here. But we have Nightlight now again in chase. Can he dodge the UVX? He can, and surely you can't commit this for too long. 2 cranes on the map for Invictus. You know what? Sometimes they're not happy about their RNG. Must be because Dan's not here now that they're actually getting some decent RNG on these structures. But yeah, I honestly am not sure which way to actually judge this game. It looked like it was going to be in Elo's favor. Then Invictus has been pulling it back, and Elo right now is really struggling for pressure. So if that Penta goes away, I will be very happy to say that Invictus are in a very good spot right now.
Yeah, I have no doubt the Penta is at its end quite soon, and we do get a hit onto Pedro here. Doesn't get the M2 this time, but we'll be sending it straight for the shack. We have to get our weekend off fast, and we do, so we will be making it towards that shack safely now. And yeah, the difference here, we had Pop, Eruption, Pain Res, and Corrupt. That's a pretty standard unknown build in the previous trial, and now with this kind of risky totem build here, it's all going to be on soon. An excellent dodge by Pedro, by the way, going to be able to drop that shack pellet in time. And I don't think he can get this weekend off quite soon enough before that goes down, and we might get the M1. Yes, that will be a down under a pallet. Is there somebody here for the pallet save? I don't actually think so. I think they're all just splitting gens far away. We see the gen's getting stacked out, and there's a far gen getting soloed. That looks like the Pentimento might be significantly slowing down Spitz's progress on that generator in the deep pocket. If they haven't even tried to rotate for the Penta yet, so I mean, some value here actually. I'm a little bit surprised that they didn't try at all, but going back to the hook now, some rank war value giving us information that nobody else is really rotating quite yet. And we are going for that tunnel, going for Pedro, who has used quite a bit of resources in this area, but looks like actually teleporting away, maybe trying to go for a bit of a cutoff. So Pedro now zoned back towards the crane. Looks like possibly just going to be leaving and getting a kick on the shack, playing for freshes, because if we do get one more fresh stage, that will be the fresh stage win condition met.
Yeah, and Elo is in an interesting situation here right now, where he has Pedro, Death Hook, and injured, can afford to let that go by. Okay, no problem. Oh no, can he? Is that gonna be okay? Instead, chooses to shoot onto Rocket. Doesn't seem to be going into the 3v1 just yet. But yeah, he has Pedro on Death Hook. He does have the Pentimento within his 3-gen, and knows that there is no other gen progress right now. So currently he knows that he has a little bit of free time, needs to make good use for it. Loses the 50 to Rocket, might be the most 50 winner of all time here. Him and Spitz on the same survivor side is not what you want to see if you're trying to chase them down. But now Elo trying again, finds the tag with the weekend onto Nightlight, who still has the dumpster filler to play around. Very strong filler. Unknown though with the area of effect. Can we get a good bounce? Nightlight is also usually the unknown player for the team, so he knows how the killer works. Is that going to be enough? No, we're not able to get the tag. Spitz comes in for the hit tag, which is not going to be necessary. We instead actually just give a free hit and get rid of a strong pallet. So even though it didn't look too good for Elo, he's going to be happy to take that exchange, but needs to get more pressure on right now. Wants Rocket, and it wants him bad, as Julia pointed out. If he gets him and he gets him dead, that is pretty much going to be the game, the game won for Team Onyx here. Finds Pedro once again, but again doesn't want to commit this. Knows that it's a bit too late now to get too much from the 3v1. Instead needs to focus on getting a fresh stage. Either Rocket or Nightlight will do. Elo now looking for where that reset might have just happened. If he finds it, it could be pretty huge. However, I believe it's a bit too late right now. No more Penti now. We only have our last perk. As we pointed out before, this is an inevitable situation that we were going to find. Elo maybe could have spent a bit more time protecting that in this region, however chose to slightly commit Rocket, didn't get much out of it. Finds Nightlight now yet again. We also find Spitz while he's cleansing the hallucination. Spitz going to be getting tagged for that. However, even the death of Spitz will not be enough. Will in fact be a loss, not even a tie here. So what can we do? Can Spitz make it happen? He does have a bit of a setup here to play the Mace Tile window with the Mace Tile with the filler pallet near it. We see Pedro nearby, ready to take it down when things get ready to take a hit when things get shaky, and it looks like that time has come. Spitz going to be taking some distance, trying to make it very, very far away. We see Nightlight and Rocket are probably stacking that generator, getting ready to pop it, and pop it they do. Now Elo, can he continue committing Spitz? I don't know if he can. He needs to get this down pretty much instantly, or teleport away, try to get some pressure. Otherwise gets the down onto Spitz, but it's not enough. Even if Spitz dies here, it's simply not going to be enough. And if our survivor, if what I'm seeing on the screen is accurate to real life, the survivors might be out, but no, Elo actually still has this teleport in the back pocket. If both Spitz and Pedro die, now that's going to be a tie, but Elo is not interested in that. Looks like he wants to play for the win, or at least wants to play to stop this gate from opening. Finds Pedro, but this should be enough time to pop, and yes, exactly, open the gate, pull Spitz out of that hook, pull him out of the wreckage, and no matter if Pedro dies now, I don't believe that is going to be enough. Oh, Jules, I don't know if Elo really has a play right now. It's looking like Invictus just barely managed to snatch that victory.
Yeah, and it looks like that one extra stage that they gave up in the previous trial really did matter. If we had gotten 5 stages like we were originally going to, I mean, we could have just gone for one more person and it would have been fine, but no, we had to get them dead. We had to get 3 more stages at one point, and it just seemed so impossible. And yeah, I mean, that will be a win for Invictus. Very, very well played to Team Onyx. That was so close. So much of all 3 of those sets, to be honest. The Ghoul set was really rough to start, but they pulled it back so well in the Meyer set and the Unknown set as well. Just on our seats, that could have been honestly a 2-1 for Onyx if it was played slightly differently. That was a lot closer than I expected personally. I know Team Onyx is very... of course, they are at the top as well. They're also a very, very good team. Invictus has so much experience behind their belts. Very, very good players, just all around a very, very well-rounded team. And we saw a bit of a falter in that today on the indoor set in the Meyer. It's just very... like we said earlier, we couldn't stop glazing Elo for the rotations getting found, the game sense there. Just props to them for, to be honest, just very, very well played by Elo. Very well played by the Survivor team as well.
Very, very well played indeed. And honestly, as we said, Onyx came as close as anyone has to knocking Invictus out of this tournament. So, and out of many tournaments, because this just normally just doesn't happen. Invictus very rarely will be in a situation like this early on. So Onyx should feel very, very proud. And even though they are unfortunately going to be departing from our revival tournament here right now, they will not be forgotten, and they will simply be going down as the team who almost eliminated one of, if not the best team in the world, Invictus, in the very first round of the losers bracket. So very, 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 very well played to them. Extremely, extremely pleased with the performance I have seen from them today. Not that I'm one to judge them, but they definitely pulled out all the stops. They did everything they could, and it paid off. It was so, so close, and I'm very happy. Regardless, Invictus is the one, in fact, to qualify and continue on. They will be meeting the winner of Serene and Aegis, or either Serene or Aegis, in losers round 2. So they have that to look forward to, and I think it's pretty safe to say that a lot of opposing teams will be picking indoor sets versus Invictus, hoping for a bit of the same luck Onyx had. Even though I'm not sure if that was luck, I think that was Elo really just making the best out of every situation that was given to him or to them. So very, very well done. I am thoroughly impressed.
I'd have to agree. I would like to throw it back over to Mathis now, but not before I really quick recap the rest of the losers bracket. We have a lower bracket, I should call it, not losers bracket, but we have Onyx, who lost to Sinners. We saw Invictus today, who lost to Umbrella, but the rest of the weekend, there are some teams that we have seen previously as well. I believe Serene lost to Elysium, Aegis lost to Mercy, Petroleum also lost to Mercy, Oh Boy to Elysium, Umbrella to X9, and Praxis to Sinners. So just going through the list, these teams have also won their own respective matches to get to the second part of the winners bracket before they got eliminated. Just a few of them did. I believe Umbrella is among that, and I mean, yeah, Praxis as well. Just very, very good teams despite losing those first rounds. So some very exciting stuff the rest of the weekend. And now I will actually throw it over to Mathis. I don't know if you want to talk about the rest of the weekend or if you want to comment on the previous matches we saw, but I had a lot of fun casting this today, and I hope you had fun watching.
I'm very happy to hear, Juls and Volkuz. Thank you very, very much for your effort today. I don't think most people even expected this was gonna go the distance to the tiebreaker. Incredibly well played by Onyx. I cannot highlight or exaggerate how close that final set actually was. That was a 6-5 stage. Obviously on the scorecard we're gonna see 6-4 now, but it was really 6-5 because yeah, our killer could have just gone for that 5th stage very easily, but tried their absolute hardest to get 2 more to maybe tie it, maybe get the win condition with 3 freshes. Incredibly well played by Onyx. This is a team you really have to watch out for. They got a bit of an unfortunate bracket, I must say, despite having been one of the lucky 4 that skipped the round 1 and played Sinners in their first match in round 2, lost 2-0, and then went on to meet Invictus, and they also could have just as well got... who are the others? Serene, Petroleum, or Umbrella, but yeah, they just ended up in the unlucky side of the bracket here. Invictus will be facing, as Juls has already pointed out, either Serene or Aegis then in the lower bracket round 2. You've really already pointed out most of everything that I was going to cover as well, so taking the work off my plate, so that's fantastic. Don't need to sound like a broken record here. Thank you very, very much one more time. We'll be back tomorrow with Oboy and Petroleum at 9 PM CET, our second lower bracket round 1 matchup, meaning either Oboy or Petroleum will be eliminated entirely from the tournament, and whoever wins and moves on to the next round will either meet Umbrella or Praxis. So, kind of the similar situation to Serene and Aegis. If you win, you get rewarded by having to go against one of the top 4 teams in the world. So, I wonder what's going through these teams' heads now. Or once we see Petroleum and Oboy, the conclusion to that matchup tomorrow, if they are looking forward to playing against Umbrella or Praxis the round after. We've just scratched the surface of the lower bracket round 1. We've now said goodbye to our very first team, being Onyx, but again, a fantastic performance, one that I did not expect, and it's just making me also happy as the organizer of the tournament that I decided to invite this team as one of the almost dark horses here, since they almost did eliminate Invictus. Yeah, that wraps it up for today. This is where I go through my list of credits for today, of course. So big thank you once more to Volkuz and Juls for having been the casters of today. Then Maxolotl, Eddie, and Trikz, and Milay as our referees in the background. Milay mostly overseeing it, and then the other 3 taking care of business. Fluffy is also, our developer was also there. I can't really say what he was doing because this is something I don't want to leak yet. Something that's in the works right now. I'm not going to spoil anything, but collecting something is what I'm going to say. It's pretty on the nose, but yeah, I don't want to spoil anything just yet since it's all in development. But that's what he's been here for. And yeah, and everybody who's been active in the chat, of course, Pikz, Flo, Torsolman, and yeah, again, Milay and myself, I guess, for production, for the stream assets that you see on stream. That's sort of what we've all been working on. It's a great, silly little group project, isn't it? But yeah, fantastic. We are nearing the 2-hour mark as well, which I also didn't expect for tonight's stream. Actually, no, we've just passed it. Perfect timing. So again, thank you everybody very, very much for tuning in. We'll be back with more games tomorrow. Again, Oboy versus Petroleum. Stay tuned. Until next time, this is Mathis out.